Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 2 of Hell in a Podcast. Of course, I am your host, Dan the Man, and we're going to get right into it. First, I want to take a quick second and apologize for the delay in episodes. Hopefully going to have a regular schedule worked out. I don't know if I'm going to do weekly, bi-weekly, not quite sure just yet. But we're going to get some kind of schedule going up real soon. First segment on the show is something I'm experimenting with, and it's Tales of Wrestling Past. Something where I take stories from my past, memories of wrestling, and, I kind of tell you good folks about the story. And first story up is, of course, something I always used to do. I used to watch the pay-per-views with my dad. Usually it was WCW, WWE, what have you. He wouldn't always watch the entire show, but the matches he was interested in. He would always come down and he would watch them with me, and that was always something that was pretty special to me. Of course, the other day was 2 years of his passing, and it's something that you'll always miss the person, so appreciate the moments that you have and cherish them. So this particular one was, of course, WrestleMania 30, and the match in question is Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar, the day the streak died. We were both watching and weren't really sure how it was going to go. Both kind of figured that, Undertaker was just going to get the win, because it's the Undertaker. It's what he does. Well, did. But that's beside the point. And remember Undertaker getting him off the tombstone, and you think, okay, this is it. He's going to hit it. Boom, 1, 2, 3, done. But then Brock reverses it, hits the F5. I think it was the third F5. He counts. He covers, the referee counts. 1, 2, 3. And the arena went silent. My dad and I both kind of looked at each other with just an expression that, well, we didn't say anything, but it was an expression that just said, what just happened? Was that supposed to happen? Did the referee make a mistake? I think part of that was just the perfect storytelling, because the music didn't hit right away. There was no announcement right away. Then all of a sudden, you hear, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the match, Brock Lesnar. Then there was a little bit of a pause, and then sure enough, Lesnar's music hits, and you see the graphic 21-1, and you realize it was legit. Now, of course, Paul Heyman has kind of stoked the fires of saying that, well, maybe that wasn't what was supposed to happen. I think it was, but that's beside the point. Back to the segment at hand. We watched that and we talked about it, whether it was supposed to happen. And that Mania is what will stick out for me for that reason, was watching that match with my dad. Brutal match. And to our next segment, latest news and notes in the wrestling world. Of course, this morning we had New Japan Pro Wrestling presenting Wrestle Kingdom 12. I'm not going to do a review of the whole show because there's another podcast out on the RWT Facebook page. If you're not a member, join the group. Check us out. What I'm going to briefly discuss are, for me, the top 2 matches. Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. And I know some people, don't pay attention to the dirt sheets and thought, Jericho's a WWE guy. He's in between. He's not tied down. He can really go wherever. Haven't seen the full match yet, but what I saw, amazing. I think it goes to show the caliber of Omega and who he is. His star power is rising even more. But it also goes to show that Chris Jericho, even at his age, he can still throw down. He can throw down with AJ. He can throw down with anybody on the WWE roster. And I think he proved that he can go to the level with Kenny Omega. I'd like to see him go with Okada, some of the other guys. Supposedly this is a one-off thing. I don't know. Would like to see what happens. Although, part of me would imagine that he will be in the Royal Rumble coming up. Next, of course, next big match, one that I really, really liked, was Kazuchika Okada versus, I'm sorry if I mispronounced this, Tetsuya Naito. I thought it was, great back and forth action. Okada pulled out the win. I didn't think he was going to. I thought for sure he was going to take the loss. He has the record for the longest title reign, I believe. I think it's in the 500-plus day range. But, again, great match. From what I've seen of the entire card, great card. If you have not seen it, check it out. You can see it on New Japan World, which is their app. It's very similar to the WWE Network. The great thing about it, its price point is based on the yen versus the dollar. I think last month I paid, I think it was like $8.88. It's worth it. You get this, you get every other New Japan show. It is worth every penny. So if you're thinking about it, go for it. That's it for the New Japan segment. Latest news also would include what seems like another round of the WWE illnesses. Recently, I believe they were overseas in Europe, where Braun Strowman was sent home for what's being reported as the flu. Apparently, he was violently ill, which, hopefully he gets better soon. There's so much going on. He's got the triple threat at Royal Rumble against Kane and Lesnar. I think Strowman, 2018 is going to be his year. I think he's going to be a world champion, be it on Raw or SmackDown. I don't think it matters. He's going to be a world champion this year. Also getting the injury or the illness bug, Enzo Amore. It's said that when they're in Toronto for the post-holiday tour, he has something going on. I don't know if it was the flu or just what, but he didn't want to get seen in Canada, so he flew to Miami, got checked out, and I guess checked himself out of the hospital, tried to go to the venue, but I guess they told him they didn't want him there, that they couldn't risk him being contagious, getting other people sick. Smart move. But it said he should be cleared to go. Should be ready for a Raw. But we'll see what happens. So that's that. That is the biggest news. Actually, another bit of news. As seen on Raw this week, we saw Finn Balor reunite in a ring with Gallows and Anderson in a 6-man tag match. I don't know if that was just a one-off, kind of trying to make the fans happy, or maybe there's something more to that. Maybe they're going to reunite the club. I'd love to see the three of them together. They're not really doing a whole heck of a lot with either of them. I say go for it. I'd love to see it. I think the fans would really love to see it. And create for more opportunities. Next, we have a segment returning from episode 1, Push, Sign, Fire. This one was a little harder. So I think Push, I think I'm going to go with someone from NXT, somebody I am all in on, and that is Aleister Black. I look at him, I see the tattoos, the music, the personality, his in-ring ability, and I see great things from him. I think he could be another Steve Austin, not in the gimmick, but just in the kind of anti-hero, kind of just that raw talent. I think he is going to be a major player, and I expect to see him called up probably after WrestleMania. If not then, after SummerSlam. He's coming up, and he's coming up soon. It will be this year. From there we go to Sign. And this one's actually going to be a twofer. I don't know what their contract situation is, but I would absolutely love to see the WWE sign Nick and Matt Jackson, the Young Bucks. I think there's a little bit of hard feelings sending the cease and desist letters, but if they could find a way to work past that and do business with each other, I think they'd make some serious money there. They're making serious money now, but you have guys like the Usos. You have Gallows and Anderson, who they could tease, Bullet Club feud. There's so many other people. There's the Revival. Yeah, I said it, the Revival. There's so many teams that they could work with, and I think they would put on great matches with all of them. So I say sign the Young Bucks. Throw as much money at them as you have to get them, but sign them. And last, we have Fire. Someone that, really needs to go. And, of course, I gotta go with Eric Rowan. They just brought them back as the Bludgeon Brothers. But I think when you look at Harper and Rowan, Harper is leaps and bounds above Eric Rowan. I think Luke Harper should be a WWE champion by now. I think he has so much talent. If they book him right, he could be a major main eventer. But I think Eric Rowan's holding him back. So I say fire Rowan and let Harper let him go and do what he needs to do to be a major player. Next, we have where do we go from here? And basically, with this, it's looking to the future. And, of course, with the Royal Rumble coming, there's a lot going on. In years past, we kind of had a feeling as to who was going to win the Rumble. But I really don't know what they're going to do this year. There's this segment there's a world title match. There's AJ versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a handicap match. I don't know. I would imagine it not to be a clean finish. I'd like to see AJ retain, but I don't know what they're doing with this Daniel Bryan thing. And quite frankly, it's getting a little annoying for my taste. If he's cleared, then great. Let's get him back on the ring ASAP. But I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with this, and I think AJ kind of deserves a little bit better. Next thing to consider is the Rumble matches themselves. The women's match, everyone figured, it's going to be 20 people, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Mae Young Classic competitors, what have you. And maybe that's what was going to happen. Not quite sure. But now that it's 30, you would expect some returns. Or even if it's just one-off returns, I think probably we'll see Beth Phoenix. I think we'll see Trish. We'll see Lita. Maybe a couple others. But I would expect to see one of those ladies, if not all of them. As to who's going to win it, I really don't know. I would have thought Asuka. But I don't know if they're going to have her go against Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's title. Everyone seems to think Ronda Rousey's gonna debut at the Women's Royal Rumble match and win that. I mean, she could. She's been supposedly training at the Performance Center. I guess she's got some movie she's doing somewhere, not sure. She could do it, fly in, do the match, then leave, shoot the movie, and then come back. But we'll see. The Men's Rumble match, this one's a little tougher to predict. I'd love to see Shinsuke Nakamura get the win, go to Rumble against AJ Styles, put on a heck of a match, and win the WWE title from him. I don't know. My hope is that they don't have somebody like Cena or Randy Orton win it. You know, Cena's somebody who, and I'm not knocking him, he's done a lot in the business, he's done a lot for the business, but I think it's time to see somebody else get the win. He's won a Rumble, I believe, 1 or 2. Orton won last year. Give it to somebody else. Next up, we have, and this is a special, we're going to do 2 top 5 lists this time. The first up is my top 5 favorite belt designs. This is going to cover from, whenever up until now. And, of course, we're going to start off with my absolute favorite, the original Big Gold. The Crumrine, it just screams class. First came out as the NWA Championship, then became the WCW Championship. Then it was retired in place of a different Big Gold. But to me, the Big Gold is where it's at. And it is owned now, by a private collector who has had multiple offers to sell it. He's had offers from WWE to sell it, but won't do it. I can't say I blame him. I wouldn't want to let that thing go either. Number 2 is the current version of the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, currently held by Kazuchika Okada. There's something about that design that's just beautiful. It's a really nice design. It's classy. It's not too big. It's not too small. It's the right size. And I think it works for New Japan. Coming in at number 3, the Classic Intercontinental Championship. And I'm not talking about, I know the current one is basically the same. But for me, I like the original. The original Classic IC on a black leather strap. I think it was just another very, very nice championship. It was made by Reggie Parks. And I think, it goes to show that the titles back then are just so much better than what's out now. Next, we have the Classic WWF Tag Team Championship. And I'm talking about the version that was held in the 80s, the dual-colored Classic Tag Team, also made by Reggie Parks. I think it was a really, really nice design. Very classy. Again, size was perfect. It looked good. And lastly, and it's one of the oldest designs that's still being used, that of course is the NWA World Heavyweight title, the Classic 10 pounds of gold, currently held by, I believe, Nick Aldis, formerly known as Magnus in TNA. I think it's part of the rebranding of the NWA. Hopefully they can do something, but I hope they don't change the design. It's a classic design. It's historical. Everybody knows it. They love it. Keep with it. Next up, we have the next top 5 list. And that, of course, will cover my top 5 favorite theme songs in all of wrestling right now. Coming in at number 5, Shinsuke Nakamura. It's got a good beat. it works for him. It's got a great tone, has rock, has strings, has everything, and it fits him to a T. Next up, we have Lars Sullivan. Another one where has that that raw, that gritty feeling to it, where it makes you think this guy's gonna hurt somebody. This guy's a monster. And Lars Sullivan, another guy who, and other people in the group have said it, he's got a real future. He's gonna be the next monster. He's going to be the next Strowman, the next Show, the next Kane. He's going to be the next big man in the company. And I would expect him to come up end of this year, maybe next. All depends on what they do with him. Next up at number 3, Aleister Black. I've said it earlier. He's got a great theme. He's got a great look. This theme fits him to a T. I would expect great things from him. I think he'll be coming up within the next batch of call-ups. I would say end of Mania, end of SummerSlam, right around then. It seems I don't know if it was written by this group or not, by a metal group called Incendiary. And they performed it at, I believe, TakeOver Chicago. Could be wrong on that. But it was perfect for him. It fits his personality. And just really an all-around killer theme song. Number 2. And, there's only one word to describe this theme, and it's, the word is glorious. Of course, I'm referring to Glorious Domination, the theme song for Bobby Roode. I think this song is done very well for him. I even think it was on the iTunes top seller list at one point. But it's a really cool theme. It's got the choir. It's got, the strings. It's got, the piano. It's got everything. It's a awesome theme. And my favorite theme right now in all of wrestling, I don't even know if they're still using it, but the Bullet Club theme. I believe the name of the song is Shot 'Em. I could be wrong, but check the song out. It's a really cool song. I'd say it's kind of NWO-esque, where, it kind of fits the group, the kind of cool, kind of tough guy vibe. Really, really cool theme. Next up, for our next segment, we have Flip Flop. And with that segment, it's going to be, I'm going to pick 2 people in the WWE right now that I think really need to turn face, turn heel, whatever. And for the face that needs to turn heel, and everyone's going to say, it'll never happen, but I'm going to say Roman Reigns. I think he's somebody that a proper heel turn would work wonders for him. I think you turn him heel, you make him the monster heel that he can be, that the company really, really needs, and then it would freshen up his character, and then you let the face turn occur naturally, and then he will be the guy they need him to be. It worked for The Rock. It's worked for other people. It will work for him. Trust me on this. I hope they do it. But we'll see. Now, as far as the heel that needs to turn face, or could turn face and freshen up his character. Of course, this one is, a little bit harder. But I'm honestly going to go with Baron Corbin. I'm not saying make him, the happy-go-lucky, squeaky clean baby face. Give him kind of like the Razor Ramon kind of tough guy vibe, where he doesn't even really talk much. He doesn't have to, because honestly, I think he's pretty horrible on the microphone. I'm not really a Corbin fan, but I think a face turn could do something for him. I think it would open up opportunities. Could get him back in the title picture. But I don't know. We'll see what they do with him. Next segment is a new one that I've been kind of playing with. And it's called Hey 2K. And this segment we look at ideas that I have for the next WWE 2K video game, in hopes that maybe somebody in 2K is listening. Maybe they'll see this and think, hey, that's a good idea. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to suggest that, and we're going to do it. And of course, let's first preface this by looking at other versions of the 2K game. And I think the first one that we need to go into is the Create an Arena. And that's going to be my idea for this one. I like what they've done with Create an Arena in this year's game. There's more options. But, and here's where I think they need more options with the crowd. It's the standard layouts, but I would like to see more crowd layouts, more arena layouts, to where, let's say we want to make an arena for Wrestle Kingdom. The Tokyo Dome is kind of an interesting layout and arena. I'd love to see something like that to where we can do that. Another thing I would love to see, you saw it in kind of the old WCW arenas, where the ramp went all the way from the stage to the ring. You see it in some of the older ones. I think you'll know what I'm talking about with this. But we'll see. I would love to see that. To where, you walk down the aisle, and the aisle meets the ring, then you just get in the ring. You don't go up the steps. You don't do any of that. Another thing I really love to see with this Create an Arena, I would love to see, different placement of the ring steps. In the old days, you would see the steps right next to the ring and not in the corner, but, in the center. So I'd really love to see that come back. I'd like to see also more options on the stage, like different, placing different objects. There have been a couple options where you could place tables, on the stage and the area right next to the stage. That's cool. But it'd also be nice if you could use those tables. It would be really cool if those objects you could actually interact with. In a couple different games in the past, you could actually climb the stages. I would love to see WWE bring that in and do that again. I don't know if they'll do that, but I think it would create more options with the game, and I think people would love it. That does it for the Hey 2K segment. On to the final thought. With Wrestle Kingdom just wrapping up, WWE is watching this, or has watched it. And I think that, they've got to step up their game. I think the card, from, again, what I've seen and what I've been told and the reviews I've read, have all pointed out that it was a very well laid out, planned out, mapped out card. Which is typical of New Japan. But also, look at NXT. Look at the TakeOver cards. I've yet to really see a bad one. And with the two of the biggest pay-per-views coming up in the next couple of months, we got Royal Rumble, and then we've got Mania. They really got to step it up. They've got to step it up with Raw, with SmackDown. The writing really needs to step it up. I don't know if they have to hire more writers, better writers. They got to do something. They have the talent. Stop throttling the talent. Let them do what they can do. Look at SmackDown. You got AJ, you got Kevin Owens, you got Sami Zayn, you got Bobby Roode. You've got all these guys and girls that have all this talent. Let your talent do what they can do. And you will have a insane show. They can do it. WWE's just got to let them. And hopefully they do. Well, folks, that does it for episode number 2 of the Hell in a Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Dan the Man. I hope you enjoyed it. Look for the next episode to come sometime next week, where I will have seen Wrestle Kingdom 12 in its entirety. I might give my thoughts on it. And then we will go from there, and we will give more Rumble predictions. Hopefully by that point, more of the Rumble card will have firmed up. Everyone, take care. Thank you for listening. And again, any thoughts, any ideas are more than welcome. This is Dan the Man, signing off.